Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday's Tea Time with Danica. And today's Tea Time with Danica, as I mentioned in the little thing that I sent out earlier, is what it means to be human. And first of all, I'm just going to warn you all, definitely this is coming from a place of having been triggered earlier this week, but I've sat with it. And as many of you know, there is a huge thing going on Substack right now about Substack's new AI checker. So just to be clear, for anyone who's like, ooh, you know what, I'm just going to front load this. Yes, I am so against this. It's not even funny. I am very pro AI. And part of that is because, in my opinion and my experience, AI is something that we can use to help us be more human. If we take this approach of curiosity and learning and all of that. And some of you I know follow the podcast that I co-host with my good friend Steph Pajonas called Brave New Bookshelf. If you aren't following that, it's available on all of your favorite podcast channels as well as on YouTube. We'd love for some likes and subscribes there. And no, it's not on Substack. And part of why, actually, it's so funny because with all the stuff going on, Steph is kind of like, I'm not sure I really like Substack anymore. And so we probably won't be putting it on Substack. Totally cool with that. But, you know, like one of the notes that I shared this week was this idea that I know everyone's really angry about the Substack AI checker and all of that. And so they're like, I'm going to leave Substack, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm not. This is kind of my, no, I'm tired of leaving spaces and taking my toys and going somewhere else because of something happening in that space. And I'm tired of these companies pushing me around, telling me what to do, and other people trying to make it uncomfortable for me to exist. And so I'm just done. I'm just done with that nonsense. I am going to play wherever the heck I want to play as long as I'm fulfilling terms and conditions. I mean, I'm not going to break people's rules. But if you don't like that I'm pro AI, goodbye. Have a nice life. And part of why I adopted AI, and this is something that I have talked about in the podcast. So, but I really feel like it's even more relevant today is when I first started seeing AI come into the picture, it was actually pre-COVID. My boss at the time at a different company came to me and said, hey, there's this new tool I just discovered. I think it's going to help write our social media posts. You should check it out. Now, first of all, that tool at that time, I evaluated and thought was garbage. However, I saw the potential. I mean, I had to go in, it would write these posts for me. I'd have to go in, I'd have to edit things. And, but I saw the potential and I saw how it got better and better and better. And what I knew at that time was that I would be out of a job if all my job was what it was at that time. Like there was no place for me in the machine world of things that machines could take over. And so I made a decision back then. And like I said, this was back before ChatGPT, back before all the authors were up in arms about it. I recognized that this was a new skill I was going to have to learn because I knew if I could master this skill, I would still be employable and I would still be able to do my job and do it well. And this is the really cool thing that I think is why AI is so important is what that did. And that tool, like I said, it was so imperfect. It was absolutely garbage at the time. And yet it still took away a lot of the heavy lifting for me. And so what it did is it freed up some of the busy work for me, even though I still had to play with it a little bit. And I was able to work on projects that meant more to me and were more important to me. And so that is something that I'm going to talk about today and talk about the humanness and what it means to be human in our world and our society and how I think we have a really great opportunity right now to get to be more human. And so, as we all know, it's tea time with Danica. So today's tea, citrus detox tea from Vitamin Cottage. People who are younger than me or newer to Denver know that it is Natural Grocers. And I'm kind of excited about this because this is the first time I've seen loose tea. I went to go buy some other tea, and then I saw they were selling this, and I'm like, that's so cool. Now they're making these tea blends. Of course, I'm going to buy it and try it. So this is my first time trying their tea blend. It has nettle leaves, ginger, green mate, green tea, spearmint, natural flavors, which I don't know what that is. I'm always suspicious of that, but whatever. Turmeric, sunflower petals, rose petals, blue mallow blossoms. And so, yeah, citrus detox sounds nice, but honestly, I always buy it for, like, I read the ingredients and I like all of these ingredients. Again, not so sure what this natural flavors thing is. However, I do know Natural Grocers, one of the things that they are really picky about is ingredients. And if things don't meet their really strict ingredients, they won't carry the product. So I'm a little less suspicious of these natural flavors than I would be of other things. And so let me show you this tea. I am in my little glass teapot so you can see how beautiful. My steep it real, I feel, is very important today because I'm steeping it real, ladies and gentlemen. And let me see if I can do this. I know I always try to show off my tea to you, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm just straining it because I can just see myself getting tea on my keyboard. But look at how pretty that is. Yeah, you can't really see, but like you can see the actual pieces of herbs, the actual flower petals and things like that. And that's, for me, what I value in a tea. And I think that again, you know, when we talk about what does it mean to be more human, this is one of those things. It is taking the time to enjoy the tea. Actually, I'm going to give it a smell, which I can't really smell very well. With the smoke from the fires and the heat and my allergies, my smeller doesn't work very well. So I don't know why I wanted to smell that, but you know, hope springs eternal. But it is those human moments where you get a little bit of your time back so that you can enjoy the smell of a good tea. You can sit and sip tea that is really nice and lovely and wonderful. And so going back to this whole Substack mess with using AI checkers, I think where I'm most disappointed, and I have commented on people's posts about it, so some of you have seen this, I'm most disappointed, and this is actually where I'm disappointed in general about the anti-AI debate, is that we care more about whether or not a human created it than we care about decency standards. Like, okay, fine, Substack, you want to police AI use. Why the heck do you allow rapists on your platform? Like, I just cannot. And as I commented on someone's post, is it because humans can rape? So that proves they're human? Like, I really, and I know that's spicy, and it's a really spicy take, but honestly, I'm so angry that we are more up in arms over things like using AI than we are about decency and kindness and all that is good in the world. And some of the nasty things that I have seen anti-AI people telling my friends, like, where is that decency? Because you know what? You're saying we want more human things, and isn't kindness a human thing? Can you not be kind? Can you not have decency? Can you not treat people with respect? Like, to me, those are way more important than whether or not you used AI to help you write something. And so I just am really at this place of frustration and anger. And like I said, like there's so much happening right now in this world that is triggering to me. And I wrote notes. I have notes. See, look, human did this. I'm really saying that to be saucy, because a lot of times I will write notes and I'll be like, ChatGPT, help me expand my notes. And then I'll edit them and like all this stuff, because that to me is like, where do I need help with heavy lifting and how can I get that assistance? And um, going back to my first use of AI, I've been using AI tools for at least 10 years because I dictate my writing. I have been dictating my writing for, like I said, a decade, and it has been transcribed by AI tools, and it is the same kind of technology that we are looking at right now in the LLMs that everyone is in such an uproar over. It's the same technology, it's the same stuff. And so if you're going to say all AI is bad and all of this AI is terrible, okay, rewind. But here's the other piece of this, and this is why, in my opinion, it is important to, you don't have to adopt it, but be curious and stay open-minded to it. And another reason why I dove into this AI world so heavily is that whether you like it or not, the corporations are using it. The company I worked for was using it whether I liked it or not. You know what? They're still using it. They're using it in ways that we don't see, we don't know about, and they're not going to disclose because they know people will get mad. And I look at all these other companies out there and all the billionaires and all of the people getting rich off of the backs of everyday people. They're going to use it whether we like it or not, and they're going to use it against us. And I'm sorry, that's a little conspiracy theory-ish, but it's the way of the world. I did this really scary deep dive the other day about some of the stuff with Epstein and all of that, and seeing all the different ties to billionaires and billionaire companies and everything. And we can be as mad as we want about Epstein, but there are hundreds of them out there, and they're gonna billionaire the way they're gonna billionaire. And for me, that means two things. Number one, I am going to use whatever tools are available to me to make this world a better place. And I believe that includes AI. And the second thing is I am going to be more human, and I'm going to allow my humanity to come out, which means kindness and justice and all of the values that are important to me. And so when you're looking at something that you're angry about, for example, AI, what are your values? And how is your response to that reflective of your values? And that to me is the most important thing, because everyone's like, oh, I hate AI, I hate AI. Okay, cool. And now you're using an AI tool to determine whether or not something is AI. Hypocrite much? Is that really in alignment with your values? And so, like anyone, in my opinion, who's in favor of an AI tool to detect AI, you're a hypocrite. And I don't want to, like, your voice is just, I'm not going to listen because I don't see validity in your argument. And so part of this, like, stuff that's been coming up for me, it is all of my triggers. And as I've mentioned to you all before, I'm working on I'm being certified in facilitating a process called RIM, and regenerating images in memory, by Dr. Deb Sandella. And it's all about like digging into who we are and examining our emotions and really healing things at the source. And that requires being human. And it's so funny because we do, as part of our training, we have to sign an AI policy, which doesn't say, by the way, it doesn't say we won't use AI. It says, number one, we will not put any of Dr. Deb's proprietary information into the AI. Okay, fair. I'm absolutely 100% in favor of protecting people's proprietary information. Great. Happy to sign that. And we're not going to put confidential client information into the AI. Again, completely understand, completely agree with that, because we do want to protect client privacy. And so we're not doing anything as part of the process. And part of the process requires something that's called exquisite following. And that really means paying attention to the client, watching the client, observing the client, being with the client, being present for the client. Only a human can do that. Only a human is able to look at someone's face and watch the emotions and watch the expressions and understand that something is or isn't happening there. And so that to me is where, when we talk about our humanity, we as humans are going to shine. That's where machines aren't going to replace us, and where we're needed now more than ever. As I mentioned, I'm so triggered this week by the AI stuff, by a few other things that I'm going to talk about. And one of the things that I have learned from Dr. Deb is that our triggers are our teachers, because the triggers are pointing to something inside us that needs tending. And for me, it really is this sense of injustice, because I really have this strong sense of injustice, of what justice means. And part of that is like in my astrology. I can't remember like where in my astrology chart that all is. But like somebody who did like a big major reading of my chart was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you are such a justice person. I'm like, yeah, I am. And if you look at my skills, I am number 4 restorative, which again, that's all about justice, but it's like bringing people together and healing things, which, hi, now I'm going to this healing thing, right? And so for me, looking at these things that are triggering to us, why are we triggered by it? If you're someone who's angry about AI and AI use, why are you so triggered by it? Where is that trigger inside of you? What is that pointing to? And yeah, I get it. As a writer, as someone, like all those books, those are mine. I wrote them without AI. Well, kind of. I mean, some of those books were dictated. All those blue covers, those are all books I dictated, just for like reference. Like that is, but I wrote those. Those are all my books. And so, yeah, is it scary to think that somebody can come in and do your job better than you? Of course. One of the experiments I'm running, and I say experiment because so far I have not published anything written with AI, but I am writing this AI book. And what I'm recognizing as I'm working through it is that there are just things that the AI doesn't understand about how to be human and what that means. And that's where me as the author is going in and editing and fixing. And, I don't know what's going to happen with this book. I've talked about it a lot. I'm slowly plodding through it. I have a million other things on my plate. Like I said, the RIM training, it's a lot. It's deep emotional processing and emotional work. And so some of it is I just need more time to rest. And I have another writing project I'm working on that I really love. And so there's all these things that I'm working on. But one of the things that's been really a gift for me is I'm like, okay, I'm really triggered by this. Okay, what do I do? And so I've been doing like sessions on them and looking at them and saying, ooh, where does this come from? What is this part telling me? What does this part need? And I had a session yesterday. It was really beautiful because we were looking at some pains I was having. But ultimately, as I was looking at that, what it really was what in my body am I not paying attention to? Am I not listening to? And am I not honoring? And I look at the authors who are doing really well. I know a lot of people who are publishing AI-assisted books. I know people who are doing really well with books fully written by AI. And what I appreciate about them and their process is that the piece that is still there is this human intervention and the pieces of that human judgment. And as my friend Elizabeth Ann West always says, human taste. And again, that's something that AI can't give you and can't do for you. And so what I've learned, and again, I've talked about this on the podcast with Steph, is that it really has increased the critical thinking. And that's just it, right? We want to offload our critical thinking to others. We want to determine whether or not something's AI, not whether or not it's good. Like, sorry, allergy season. But we, rather than saying, is this piece good? Does this piece resonate with me? We're saying, is it AI or not? Which is the wrong question, because the actual question is do I like it? Can I enjoy it? And so before we're ever willing to make a decision about whether or not it's something we love or we enjoy or it's to our taste, we offload it to an AI to say, oh, is this AI or not? And then depending on its evaluation, we decide whether or not we're even going to engage with that content. Okay, well, where is your discernment there? Where is your humanity there? Where is your ability as a human, not to decide if it's machine generated or not, but to decide, do you like it? So what if a machine made it? I don't care. And if you care, great. But why are you offloading your discernment to a machine if you don't want something created by a machine? And so I think about that, and I think about all these things that we say trigger us and make us angry, and I'm like, dig deep. Like, take a look at when you're feeling triggered by these things. What's going on inside you? What is that wound inside you? Where is that place inside you that needs to be healed? Because most of the time, it isn't the other person. It's not that other person and their responsibility. And sure, if someone's like coming at you going, ooh, and being super offensive, sure. Like, that person has their own stuff to deal with, but what is your stuff to deal with? And I'm kind of at this phase of my life, I've talked about this before, that, I'm Gen X. I'm a perimenopausal woman. And let me tell you, at this stage in my life, I have seen some shit. We all have. Like, our generation is so freaking traumatized by just life. The stuff that we've been through and done, and we have a lot of healing to do. And we're healing, and that's part of this journey that I'm on, and part of the things that I'm doing. And I think that that's part of what's making us human. That's part of our humanity, is being able to look at ourselves in the mirror and see what's up, see what we need to do. I just got my hair done today. It looked cuter earlier, but it's hot. I have no air conditioning in my apartment. And so, I had like all up in a bun and took it down to do this. So it's not as cute as it was, but it doesn't matter. But the point is, I was talking to the hairdresser, and also a fellow Gen Xer, and we got divorced around the same time. And she was asking me if I was dating and all this stuff. And I'm very honest. I've said a lot of times very publicly, I am single. And there are days when I'm like, yes, I want to find a life partner and share my life. And there are other days when I'm like, no, I have so much my own garbage to work with. The last thing I want to do is have to deal with somebody else's junk. Like, honestly. And I've been on dates. I've dated a couple people. I had my heart broken by this guy last summer who, I thought he was also working on his stuff. It turns out that he was just doing like this performative, like, stuff, saying he was working on, but the fruit wasn't there. And like, that to me is where I'm trying to engage with life, is where are these people who are actively working on making a difference in the world, making a difference for themselves. And again, like, healing yourself is the best way you can help heal the world. And so, I'm dating, and I would love to find a life partner, but I'm just not interested in going out casually doing whatever, because I want to be around like-minded people. I want to spend my time investing in someone who's investing in themselves, investing in others, investing in the world. And, and that, again, like, that's that humanity piece, is who is he? Who is he trying to become? And those are the people I have in my life, just in general. Even not in a romantic self, is like, where are you growing in your humanity? it isn't about what you do and don't do with AI. It's about what you're doing with your life. I was just talking to my boss this week because he's going to offload some of his tasks onto me. And I was a little intimidated by it because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what? I sat down, I had a conversation with ChatGPT, and I was like, oh, okay, I can like offload this and this and this to the AI, and now suddenly I have more bandwidth. Oh, and if I offload these things, then I can also add this to it, and now I have more bandwidth to do the things that really matter. And for those of you who know who I work for, what I do, like none of this involves customer data. None of it is anything that would put a customer information, customer data, customer IP at like none of that, because we are very protective of protecting our customers' IP and their information and doing all of that responsibly and with consent. And that for me is the biggest question with AI, and also why I'm objecting to what Substack is doing with its AI detection is that isn't with my consent. I don't consent to that. I do not consent for Substack to use AI in determining whether or not my work is human or not. And yet, I use ChatGPT, and Claude and Gemini. I use them all. I subscribe to them all. Again, I run an AI podcast, or co-host, I should say. So yeah, I do subscribe to them all. And guess what? I did opt in to training on my data. And I did that very intentionally because I want them trained on my data, because I want, when they're doing my tasks, to be like me. And honestly, I think if the world thought a little more like me, it would be a much better place. It would also be a little more chaotic, but it would still be fun. And that's the point. Like, I have been able to offload a lot of the tasks that I don't like doing, I don't want to do, and it can do it for me. It's so much easier now. It used to be I would dictate and then I would transcribe and then I would spend hours upon hours cleaning it up. And now I can dictate, transcribe, push it into ChatGPT and say, Chat, what needs fixed here? And I am so specific in my instructions on what it is and isn't allowed to change. It comes back with my words cleaned up. It doesn't add or subtract because it knows I'm going to get pissed. And that is what I love about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. It saves me time. And because I'm in a stage of burnout, I'm recovering from burnout, just life, divorce, all the stress and all of that. I do have to be more responsible with my time and how I am spending my time and what I'm doing with that time. And so it's actually giving me space to rest. I have not added more to my plate. I actually keep taking more and more things off my plate, which is why, even though I did have a really ambitious publishing plan for this year, I'm behind on it. And that's okay, because I am really happy with having that space and bandwidth to rest and to do things. And as I mentioned before, I have a social life. Yesterday I went with one of my friends and we had coffee and we walked around a festival and we did some shopping. I bought some cute new crystals and it was this beautiful, fulfilling time. And if I had all of the stuff to do and all of the stuff on my plate that I used to have on my plate, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it, or I would have been there feeling really guilty about spending that time. And that to me is so valuable. And why I would never give up AI and the things that I offload to AI, because that's what it's given me. It's given me the opportunity to spend one-on-one time with a dear friend. It's given me the opportunity. You can't see it. I have tried to set up at my kitchen table before and it just doesn't look right. But if you looked at my kitchen table right now, I can't sit at my kitchen table. So that will be my afternoon project, because it is covered with art supplies. And I've gotten back into painting and art journaling and doing like weird crafts and things like that. And I'm so much more creative. And I love that about me. I love that I get to explore that part of who I am as a human being, because that's what being human means. It means that we get to do the things that light us up. Like, no one is lit up and excited by sending a newsletter. Maybe some of you are. If you are, more power to you. You know what lights me up? Dictating a note into my phone and saying, blah, 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 this is what I'm going to write about. Boom, give it structure. Boom. Okay, let me read through it. Okay, fixed, done, out. Boom. Like, that to me is, I can do that in far less time than it takes for me to sit down and go, what do I write about? What do I write about? Okay, right. And I can't do right at the computer for very long. And so that is also part of the problem. And that's why I went to dictation. And some of these story ideas, it's so great because now I'm like, ooh, I have a cool story idea. Oh, I can't write it right now. Okay. I have this little file and I put my story idea and I can like brain dump everything about the story idea. And now with the new Claude, I always forget the new Claude thing, but some of you guys know. I just don't remember names very well. But with the new Claude thing, what I had it do is it scanned. I'm very disorganized with my file storage. I had it scan where I store all my different files, and it gave me a list of all my story ideas. I'm like, yes. And so it was like, okay, which out of all of this, because I have all these different things in various stages of completion, like which makes the most sense for me to work on? Like, holy cow, that just took away weeks of analysis paralysis. Like, seriously, I would sit there and just, no. Here's, based on criteria that I've given it, it's told me this is what you work on. And I am. And I'm so happy because I'm not second guessing myself thinking, oh, maybe I should have picked this one. Oh, no, because it told me exactly what I needed based on criteria that I gave it. It wasn't like out of the blue. It was, okay, you know my bandwidth. You know where I'm at, what I value, what I want to write about, what I want to do. Where do I focus? Right here. I'm working on a secret project. See, like another project I'm working on. A spicy pen name. A friend and I are working on it together. We have a couple of books out. No, I'm not going to tell you it. But like, okay, I was so overwhelmed the other day because my friend is texting me going, hey, where are we at on this? I'm like, I don't even know. And I was like, Claude, read my Notion. Tell me where I'm at and what the next step is. And what is the next step for me? What is the next step for my friend? Because I am so overwhelmed, so overloaded, I don't remember. And you know, Claude said, oh, here you go. Here's where you left off. This is what you need to do next. This is where you need to follow up with this other person to do it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And it isn't, again, it's not like I'm saying, make this decision for me. I mean, I kind of am. But when it gives me these options, I can look at it and say, no, you're wrong. It did. I had it come up with some marketing material for me for the series, and I didn't like it. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't like it. Okay, boom, back to square one. Cool, now it's going to redo it. But it's just more things off my plate. So like I said, I can go out, I can have fun. And that to me is where I think the value in using AI and, ooh, this tea is yummy. Okay. Yay. I love it when my tea splurges. I don't think it's like a splurge. What is the word? See, this is where I need help sometimes, but it's impulse buy. There we go. This is where I love it when the impulse buy pays off. But anyway, you still are in control. And like I said, Claude made me a whole bunch of images that I thought were garbage, and I told it so. Because that is where we as humans have that strength, and we have that power to say, I like it, I don't like it, whatever. But we're in control. And that is where we have to lean into our own creativity, our own power. And like that, and again, like this is where I find it so offensive that Substack is doing this scanning our posts bullshit, because that's taking away my power. That's even taking away the power of people who don't want AI. Because as a lot of posts I've seen have said, like, okay, cool, they're just going to figure out ways to trick the system. Like, what? Again, use your own humanity, use your human judgment. Do you like something? Do you not like something? Okay, great. And figure that out. Figure out who you are, what your taste is. And, you know, going back to this whole Gen X thing and being at this time of my life where I just give no Fs. I didn't swear there. I kind of was mentally practicing that. But I don't. I going through my divorce and going through all of the life changes that I've had in the past couple of years, I've pretty much lost everything of value to me. And so if you think I give an F, I don't, because I don't have one to give. They're gone. They're gone. We were at this little boutique yesterday, and it had like this garden. It was an image. It had this garden bed, an empty garden, and there was nothing there. And it said, "These are all the Fs I have left." And it was so great. I didn't buy it. It was like $30. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to buy it. But it was really delightful. And but that's where I'm starting to lean into what are my values, and that's part of the humanity. Like, what are my values in what I read, what I interact with, what I do, where I choose to spend my time, and how I choose to spend that time. And those are questions we should all be asking ourselves and finding our own answers for that. Because like I said, I value kindness at a very different level than I used to. And if you can't respectfully disagree with someone who is using AI, I'm sorry, but no, you do not belong in my space. And I'm not even sorry. I really am not, because I'm learning where my lines are, where my boundaries are. And a lot of us in Gen X, we never learned how to have good boundaries with ourselves, with others, in our lives. And that's the thing I'm learning. And I don't care if you use AI or not. I just, as I say multiple times in the podcast, that I don't care if you use AI or not. I don't care if you like it or not. Just don't shit on people who have a different opinion than you. I don't understand why other creatives are attacking other creatives and telling them what is or isn't creative. Like, that isn't your job. Your job is to create however resonates with you and your soul, because that's what makes you human. And weirdly, like, this totally bunny trail here, but not really. Like, one of the other things that I'm doing is this deeper dive into my own spirituality. And I used to be part of the evangelical tradition, not anymore. I am very anti-church at this point in my life, but I still love Jesus. And the thing that goes through my head a lot right now when I'm thinking about Jesus and my faith and what my spirituality looks like and what I believe in is, Jesus said, before you start to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye, take the plank out of your own eye. And the truth is I'm too busy working on making my life better, making myself better, using tools in ways that I find value in, then I don't have time to waste looking at the specks in other people's eyes. I don't have time to look at someone else's process and tell them that what they're doing is or isn't valid. I spent so much of my summer in Europe, and I did a lot of art galleries. I'm really, again, creative, right? I'm going to all these art galleries, and some of the stuff they consider art, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, people paid a lot of money for this. Why? And some of the things I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. And here's the great thing. Some of you, if you had been with me in those galleries, you would have looked at this art that I was like, ew. And you would be like, oh my God, that's brilliant. At the stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. You would be like, no. And that's the beauty of our humanity. That's the beauty of what we get to create. I've seen some really bad AI art. I've seen some really good AI art. And I've seen some really bad human created art. And I've seen some really bad, really good human created art. Like, there's this whole spectrum. And we get to decide what we do and don't like about it. I have dabbled in some AI art stuff. It's terrible, in my opinion. Somebody might like it. I don't know. But the people that I know who are really good at AI art, they're spending so much time honing their craft. And they spend as much time on this AI art piece as I do on one of my paintings. And again, my paintings, I don't think are gallery quality, but they make me happy. They bring me joy. And that's what matters. And that is what matters for everything. And that is the life we were given. My neighbor passed away, and I'll do a separate thing on that because it's really long. And I actually did dictate it. I just haven't transcribed and all of that yet because it's hard and it's painful. But the thing that really struck me about her funeral is all these people who are like, and we'll see her again in heaven. And I'm like, will you? How do you know that? How do you know that, number one, she went to heaven, and number two, you're going there, and that it's going to be the same place? You don't know that. And all of the, I wish we could have done this. I wish we could have done, all these things that they were talking about. And I was like, just do it now. And that was the thing I was talking about with my friend yesterday when we were on our little adventure together, is that none of us are promised tomorrow. None of us are promised next year. And we have to make the most of that. We have to do the things we love and the things that make us happy and bring us joy and bring joy into the world. And if that means using AI to lighten that load, do it. If that means AI to write the story that's in your heart that you have no idea how to bring form to it, do it. And if it means you don't want to use AI, then do that. Like, do the thing that makes it possible for you to bring joy into your life and spread that joy to others. Because that's what it means to be human. And that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm here. I don't want to just keep drudging through life, trying to just exist. I want to find joy in the world. And so that is what I want to share with you today. As I mentioned last week, I am looking for people to work as practice clients for some practice room sessions I need to do. I do have to record those and turn those into my instructors. It would be completely free to you. So if some of you are watching this and like, oh, maybe I'll give that a try, please reach out to me. Would love to get to work with you and share the work that I've been doing. But like I said, that is the humanity I'm leaning into. And I hope that whatever thing is making you light up and makes you human, I hope you get to do that too. I'll see you next week.